going on, guys? So first off, let me go ahead and apologize for not posting a Doctor Who review last week. It was Sunday. I was freaking out. I had no content ready for the week that I was going to be gone for E3, and the Doctor Who video, I wasn't able to get to it. So now, we are going to cover this current episode of this week, but I do want to mention something from the last episode, and that was the very ending when freaking Missy ends up saving the Doctor with Nardole and everything. And Doctor's all like, "What are you doing in here? I gotta put you back in the box." And she's all like, "Oh, it's okay. But are you fine? Are you okay?" Because that is making me think if something is actually wrong with the Doctor. Like, maybe something internally or something crazy is going on with the Doctor, because why would Missy say that? Like, she's totally cool with going back in the box because she's trying to change or whatever, but she just, like, looked at the Doctor, like, knowing something's wrong with him. She was like, "But are you okay?" Is it possible that something is going on with the Doctor, and that could explain a lot of his heroics this season? I mean, we know that he's always heroic, but I'll kind of get into that later on in the video. But that was the most intriguing thing that caught my attention on last week's episode. Now, onto this freaking week's episode. And I gotta say, this episode was okay. I didn't think it was the best episode of the season or anything like that. And, you know, I loved at the end that we got to say Missy, we found out that Missy's actually staying in the TARDIS and that she can't get out, and she's getting, like, free repair. She's doing free repair work on the TARDIS. And, you know, everybody else is like, "What the hell is she doing here? She's supposed to be in a box." Well, technically she is in a box, but, you know, this box is infinite or whatever. But yeah, so I really like that. But one thing, when I was kind of hoping this was going to happen, and I don't know if you guys were thinking about this, but since it was an episode that involved Romans, I was kind of hoping that Arthur Darvill, who was Rory from the Matt Smith era, would make like a small cameo or even like a reference to the Roman. Would have been really awesome. I didn't catch one. Do let me know in the comment section down below if there was any kind of reference to him. But I thought that would have been badass for freaking Rory to actually have been on this episode, because we know that he went through that whole time. Like, he fought as the Romans and all of that jazz, and he was the centurion and protecting the freaking thing for thousands of years. So I was kind of hoping just to have a little Doctor Who Easter egg. Unfortunately, we did not get that. But like I said, this episode didn't have a lot that really intrigued me besides the ending, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. You know, this episode had the whole, like, the Romans came in, they started destroying and taking everything from everybody, and, like, the wildlings, I just want to call them the wildlings, but, you know, the freaking other people that were in this thing were talking about how they hated the Romans because they came in and took their land, they took their, you know, farm, or whatever they had, and it was just, like, this whole kind of, like, underlying symbolism of how the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Because, like, it's just constantly like, "Oh, we gotta make our empire better, and I don't care how we make it better, we just take your shit," and all that stuff. So there was this kind of, like, underlining thing going on there. But in the whole episode, I wasn't too intrigued by it for some reason. Maybe it's because I have a lot of other things going on that I was just like, I gotta watch this episode to do a review. But I don't know, maybe I want to give it another rewatch. I did like how it was really interesting that Bill told the guys that she wasn't interested in them at all and she was only into girls, and that the guy she was talking to said that she was kind of narrow-minded, that she was only into girls and she wasn't into both. So him liking boys and girls made him a little better, and he wasn't as close-minded as her or something like that. I found that really interesting because I never thought of it from that perspective. Like, a lot of people have this weird stigma of, like, heterosexual people, like, just can't get around, you know, a guy liking a guy or a girl liking a girl or whatever. But then from this perspective, it was all like, "Oh, you're a little narrow-minded for just liking girls or just liking guys." Like, I thought that was hella interesting because I have legitimately never thought about it from that perspective. Not saying it's wrong to be on either side, but I just never in the life of me would have thought of it that way. Anyways, the characters were cool in this. You know, it was cool to have this little, like, I am the gatekeeper kind of thing. So it looks like her people always guarded this gate to not let people out. And, you know, she kind of did it because she was like, "Oh, my people were getting messed up. Let the freaking, you know, thing out to kill the Romans." So, you know, it did. Killed a shitload of Romans. And that adds our whole supernatural thing. Now, I caught a little underlining things, because you saw the one girl who was the gatekeeper crying about all the people that she let die and all that jazz, which is very similar to Missy, who is crying because she's starting to remember the people that she's killed. So I found like some parallels there, some similarities between those characters, and I was like, very interesting. Speaking of Missy, another thing that I thought was interesting was the little girl at the start of the episode was talking about how she could hear the music and all that jazz. At first, I thought it was kind of like a reference to the, you know, the hills or the mountains of Beryllium or whatever, you know, with the Doctor and River, how, you know, they would sing and stuff like that. I was like, oh, is that like a reference to that? But then at the same time, at the end, when the girl would hear the singing, I also kind of thought like, oh man, what if it's like kind of similar to the way Missy hears the drums? I don't know if Missy hears the drums, but the Master would always hear the drums in his head. What if that was very similar to Missy? And with that is maybe the crying substitute for the drums that, you know, the Master has always had in his head. I might be reaching a little bit there, but those are things that went through my head. And the last thing is, let's just go to the ending, because like I said, there's not really much I have to talk about with this particular episode, but I was interested at the end when the Doctor was saying how he was going to give up his life, how he's always protected, you know, the human race, and he was going to do that, and he was the one that was going to go into the portal, and then of course everybody gets in his way, and they're like, no, you're not going to do this, this is my job, it's my destiny, blah, blah, and everybody goes in the portal to save, you know, their planet, and they're the ones that defend, you know, these creatures from coming back out of the portal. And I thought that was really cool and interesting, and you know, they could actually live their whole lives there for a really long time, and because they said, what, a second in there is 2 days out in the real world, so those people could actually still be guarding the thing, because seconds equal to days to years to all of that jazz. So, you know, time just moves so much faster outside than it does in that area they were in, so maybe they're still guarding it right now. But one thing I did like notice when I was doing that, and maybe it's happened a lot this season, but there have been many times this season in particular that the Doctor has wanted to like give his life and somebody else does something to save him. Like, you know, and that's not a new thing. We've seen people give their lives for the Doctor before, but it seems like it's happened a lot this season. And could that have something to do with Missy telling the Doctor, like, are you okay? Like, is there something wrong with you? And the Doctor, maybe the Doctor knows something is coming. Like, maybe he knows his time is almost up, and he wants a heroic, hurrah send-off, and maybe that's why he's always trying to do these heroic things, so people remember him. I mean, of course, everybody in the universe and galaxy remembers the Doctor, because he saved so many people, but I don't know. I am really interested to see what is going to happen here, and maybe the Doctor is trying to save Missy for some reason and make him, or her I should say, good again, because maybe she needs to be the one to take on the mantle when he's gone, because maybe he feels like he's gonna die or something like that. I don't know. I just found it really interesting, because I want to say off the top of my head there have been 3 times the Doctor was gonna die and somebody has saved him. 1 was this episode. 2 was when he lost his eyesight and he was gonna get blown up. That's when Bill, you know, made the deal with the monks to give him his eyesight back so he could live. 3 was when he was trying to freaking put his mind into the monk blew him off, and then freaking, you know, Bill was all like, I'm gonna do it. Again, was gonna give up her life for the Doctor. Those 2 times Bill saved his life. But, yeah, so I don't know. I just feel like it's been done a little bit more, and I wonder if that's on purpose or if it's just bad writing and they're like, shit, I didn't know if anybody was going to catch on to that. So I want to know what you guys think. Do you actually feel like the Doctor, like there's something wrong with the Doctor? Because yeah, I don't think Missy's just going to ask him if he's really okay for no reason, and the Doctor is allowing Missy to be in the TARDIS now? Like, I know he can like keep her around, and Missy's smart enough, if she wanted to, she could fix anything in the TARDIS and just take off with the TARDIS, but, you know, the Doctor's trusting her for some reason. And I don't know, maybe there's something more that we don't really know about that's going on right now. And the next episode looks fucking great because it has Missy being the Doctor, and I can't wait. I think that might be my favorite episode. We haven't even seen it yet, but I've seen some previews for it. And man, I don't know. I love Missy, so her being the part as the Doctor, I think is going to be really fun, so I can't wait to watch that episode. She's already sassy in the clips I've seen, So I'm really excited for next week, but I do want to know what you guys thought of this episode, and even last week's episode, since I didn't get to review it. Let me know what your thoughts on the Doctor Who-ness in the comment sections down below. Guys and gals, if you ever want to support this channel, don't forget you can check out the Patreon like these awesome people did, or you can just do the OG thing and give this video a like and share it with all of your Doctor Who buddies. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for all things nerdy and geeky on this channel. As always, I am your host, JUICEbox. Remember, when you wake up in the morning, ask yourself something. Have I had my daily dose of juice? See you guys next time. Bam!